let's dive into some questions, some petty, my 10 questions that were originally quickfire, but they've turned out to be, I don't know, they're never quickfire anymore because we tend to ramble. But first one, and it's obviously the worst question ever to ask a fan of any band, is which is your favorite Tom Petty album? If you have your hand up your back.
Yeah. And I thought about it and I I don't have a clear favorite, but with a gun to my head, I probably say Damn the Torpedoes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's lean too, right? It's 9 tracks. There's just no fat on that album at all, and it's got Refugee in there, and it's got, like you said, it's got uh, Here Comes My Girl, and it's got all these, sorry, even the Losers, and it's got all these tracks that sort of they're still played on the radio now, and that was what
Yeah,
79, right? Damn the Torpedoes. So you're
I think
talking
so.
an album that's getting up to 50 years old. Is going to be 50 years old soon, and they're still being played. Well, then you know you've written a good song if that's the case. Okay, Mudcrutch or the Traveling Wilburys? Which one? I think I know the answer to this one, but I'll let you go.
I'm gonna say Wilburys.
Yeah.
Do you get many Mudcrutch people that answer Mudcrutch to that
I'd
question?
say about a quarter, maybe, and they tend to be the real hardcore, the really, really hardcore fans. But there are a few people I've come across who don't like the Wilburys. They just, for some reason, they don't. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? It's five of the greatest songwriters of all time. Come on.
And it's an oddity for sure,
Yeah,
but it's for me it was just fun to hear all these heroes, together and having a good time,
yeah,
obviously having a great time and it's like, geez, if you've got Bob Dylan, like he can write a couple lyrics for a song, and it's like, wow. I don't
but
know if
just
you know this. I'm trying to bring out some of my petty trivia just because you're,
yeah,
a trivia guy with petty, which is I think I read some that Bob Dylan's favorite Tom Petty song. Do you know which one it is?
I do, and I can't remember, and this shameful because I can't remember.
Uh, Something Big is what I do. You know that song
I
off
do,
of Hard
and it's
Promises, I think,
yes,
right?
and it's because it's very,
It
it's
sounds
got
like Dylan,
yeah,
right?
100%, yeah.
And I was like, you're such an egomaniac that you like the song that sounds like you.
But that, well,
He writes
there's
all these great songs, and you like the one that sounds like a Dylan song.
well, I mean, look, Dylan
That's
is
good
nothing.
trivia, though.
Dylan is nothing if not very much himself, right? Very, very confident in his own ability. So we think about that. I mean, I always, people talk about super groups, and it's kind of a weird word, but they were sort of, well, maybe the Highwaymen, I don't know, I can't remember when they came together, but the Wilburys were really the biggest super group ever. Because, I mean, Dylan and the Beatle already elevates it to that level. Throw in, Roy Orbison,
Petty and
throw in Jeff
Orbison,
Lynne, and throw in
Jeff
Petty,
Lynne, yeah.
then you've got something that I don't think really you could ever, I don't think anyone's ever going to get close to that kind of Hall of Fame level of talent. But when you watch that as like a 27-minute documentary or whatever it is, they're all just sitting around drinking coffee,
Having fun.
yakking, playing, trading licks, trading lyrics, just having fun.
Yeah.
One song a day, 10 days. Let's just make this fun. No touring, no expectations of anything. And that, to me, is music in its purest form. Right? That's when, at 15, when you're sitting around with a virtuoso guitar player or a piano player, and you're playing your bass and you're learning, that's music in its pure form. And I think the Wilburys managed to get back to that in their, late 30s to early 50s as a group. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And to hear, uh, Dylan, just throw in, like I said, some lyrics, and you're like, wow, okay, those are pretty good. And then to hear Roy Orbison, right, throw in
Oh,
some vocals and just like do that Roy Orbison
yeah.
thing where he just soars.
That voice, man. Oh
It's
my
just
God.
like, yeah, so cool.
Well, it's so funny, right? Because, if you think, like we said the names now already, but out of all the of people in that band, it was Orbison they all wanted to talk to. It was just tell us about Elvis. Tell stories about Elvis, Roy. That's what they do. They sit around, just get to. Okay,
That's so funny.
question
All
number
right.
three. If you could join the Heartbreakers on stage for one song, which song would it be? Would you play and sing, or would you just play bass? What are we going with?
In my dream, right? What would I
In your
do? What
dream,
would I
yeah.
be do? What would I be happening?
Yeah.
Um, I would want to do both, kind of like, or sing with Tom,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Would be probably pretty awesome. Um, I I think it would be really fun to play bass with a band of that caliber just to, you
Yeah.
know, be in there and groove with them on the bass. And I feel like both with Ron Blair and Howie, they were not flashy players.
Not at all.
They
No.
were just doing role players. They were holding it down, doing their part, and which is to some degree that's the my bass playing is that as well. I'm not a lead soloist,
Right.
flashy, you know slapping and popping and funking it up and all that stuff. But I think that would be like just incredible to just,
Yeah.
play that bass in there with that band. And I love, the organ sound, in there and the drums, it's
Yeah.
just be so great to be able to be in that and hear that huge sound
Yeah.
and play with a band that good.
That
So
good.
I mean, it doesn't to me it almost doesn't matter what song it is. It just be and I every song would be great to play. Uh there's one of the songs on the live anthology that for whatever reason I don't never loved it as much on the studio album,
Okay.
but Night Watchman at the beginning of that
Oh
album,
yeah.
that just sounds so freaking good.
Yeah.
And I love the way they build, and I love songs that build, where this happens and then this comes in and then the big, hit the big bass note,
Yeah.
So I think something like that would be really fun where they start it with the drum groove and then the guitar lick comes in.
Yeah.
Doodle-doo, 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 and then the band comes in. And and we do that, I like to do that with my band where we'll start once in a while start a song like that and then
Yeah.
have like the big, bass, sometimes a big horn note come in together to just like really bang it,
Yeah.
after the guitar and the drums have started, just make it huge. And so something like that, I think, is what would be amazing.
Super effective. Yeah, for sure.
But the only songs I sing, and my problem is I would love to sing 100 Tom Petty songs, but I just can't get there, and do anything,
Right.
and have it, that's I'm ready to put out there. But so I do, and I tend to do easy songs anyway for the reasons we already talked about, where I
Right.
can play the bass and I can sing them. But I have to be able to, find my way vocally with a limited range on a song and, with syncopation issues and time issues. And can I make it all work? So the two that I do, which happen to be like maybe the two most popular to do,
Yeah.
and of his songs, Free Fallin' and Mary Jane's Last Dance. Those are the two that we currently do in the band. And, and I'm a little starting to shy away from Mary Jane because I just feel like I'm hearing it from too many other bands. And I don't
Right.
want, we generally don't play a lot of songs that other bands play. That's kind of our
That's
thing
what you
is,
want, right? For
but
sure.
I also don't want to play a cover, I might as well play an original if nobody knows it.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
what's the point of playing a cover that nobody knows,
A deep
right?
cut from
A deep cover. I mean, to me, I mean, that's not, that doesn't make sense for at least what we do to me.
Yeah.
So I do want, if I'm going to play a cover, I do want people to know it, but I don't want it to be the one that it's the song du jour that
Yeah.
every cover band plays, So, so Free Fallin', I feel like less so. People don't play that song as much, even though there's some great covers of it out there. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
we did see John Mayer do his version of Free Fallin' a
Oh,
couple
you saw it
years ago.
live?
Yeah.
You saw him live?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
wow.
closed out a music festival up here in Connecticut. He was the headliner on the second day of the weekend on Sunday night.
Yeah.
And it was all bands the whole 2 days, full bands. And then Mayer gets up there with his acoustic guitar and gives the best performance of the weekend by himself,
Wow. Yeah.
and more powerful with just him and a guitar than any of the
And
bands.
it's funny because that's the version that other people cover now. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of people who cover
Yeah.
Mayer's cover of Free Falling with that arrangement and those, because you've got suspended chords in there and he's doing it completely differently. It's very plaintive and it's slowed down even more. So that's kind of become the version now that I've heard a lot of people cover. But I was going to say
Yeah.
that, I mean, when you play Free Falling, when you play Mary Jane's Last Dance, I mean, it's almost like a cheat code, right? Because you know that people are going to love it. You know that you're not
Yeah.
going to have to do any work to
Of
sell it to
course.
everybody because everybody loves it and everybody knows it, right? So,
Yeah. It doesn't matter how you do it because people are happy just to hear
yeah.
it in any format. I actually pick up one of the things that I've done with Free Fallin' is the Stevie Nicks version, where she changes the melody a little bit,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the way she sings some of the lines, and I do it that way. I like the way she sings that melody, so I sing
Yeah.
it the Stevie Nicks way a little bit,
That's always funny too, because
which
when
I
I
think,
love it when you're a big nerd on a band and you go see someone play and you catch them doing something like that. Ah, he's singing it
yeah,
the way he did it on the live album. That's the way he's doing it there, right? So, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I don't know if anybody has ever noticed that I sing it the Stevie Nicks way. I'm guessing no,
What you got to
but
watch
if
for
you were there, you might have noticed
yeah,
that.
you got to watch the meerkat at the back of the room. Some guy's just kind of talking to a girl and goes, just kind of looks over at the band. Like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
guy's doing Stevie Nicks. I'll
Who?
do that. I'll turn to my wife, and I'll be like, oh, they just,
And
they
they
don't
don't
miss.
care. They're like, yeah, very, very nice, dear. Very nice.
Go get me a drink.
Okay, who would be your dream opening act at a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers concert? Do you remember who the opener was when you saw them or didn't see them very
I
well?
don't
I don't
remember
remember.
at all. It was too much alcohol, I think. No, I don't remember at all. I don't remember. I don't even remember there being an opener, but there must have been probably, right? There had to be an
Yeah.
opener on that kind of a tour. I just, no memory whatsoever of that. Certainly didn't make an impression, whoever it was.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's a little bit of a weird question to me, because I mean, is it someone I just really would love to see, or someone that I think would be a great band to come before?
Yeah.
Because, the opener has to be less than the main event.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not good because when
I mean,
Van
if an
Halen,
opener upstages the main event, they're not an opener anymore.
that's why Van Halen got kicked
That's
off
the
the Black
last
Sabbath
time they're
tour.
opening the show, right?
Yeah.
But so yeah, I was struggling with that, but I sent you the that guy that I've really been listening to a lot, which is
Yep.
Brett Dennen. And had you ever heard that name?
No, I hadn't. And I threw on two or three songs. I was like, yeah, this guy's good. I definitely want to dig into this guy and listen to him. Yeah.
Do you hear it? Did you hear any Petty influence on what you heard?
For sure. I think it's that I struggle
Vocally, he does a little bit of a Tom Petty kind of a
a
vibe,
little
right?
bit, but it's more I think more to do with what I picked up on was more the economy of his songwriting. Like he's got that sense of let's
Yeah.
just use exactly as much as we need and never too much, which I always love about Petty's writing. So
And I think he's very smart too. The way he write lyrically, he's like Petty. He's smart in that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
They're smart songs. They're not dopey songs.
I don't mind a dopey
You
song
know.
now and again, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I like a dopey song now and again too. But I like that about him. I don't know what I like, but when the first time I saw him play live, and I didn't know his music, and some friends brought us, and he played two Petty covers and
Okay,
no other covers.
because that says a lot, right?
And then I was listening, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm hearing it.
Let's see if I can get him on the show.
So,
Talk to him.
but I don't know. I just really connected with this guy, and we just saw him play I don't know, a couple months ago, I guess. But he's great live,
Yeah,
and I like his recordings a lot. So I don't know. So he's a little bit like Petty. I think he would be a good opener because he's like the quiet Petty. He's the acoustic
yeah,
more. I mean, he rocks out too, but he doesn't rock out his heart like Petty rocks out. He rocks out more like the acoustic tunes,
yeah,
Petty.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I think he might be a good opener. I'd ask Tom to give him a listen and see if he wanted to bring him on the tour.
Brett Dennen. So we always could check that out. I'll put a link in the episode notes to that one too. Okay, you almost let this one slip earlier. Who is your favorite band member other than Tom Petty?
It's uh it's Stan Lynch. Is
Ooh,
is
okay.
is my favorite. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
That's probably not the most common answer I would guess. But
Think
I
you might be the first of sort of
I'm
20 or
glad.
so. Yeah, I think you might be the first to
I'm
say Stan.
glad. Well, that's what I'm here to do is break the mold, right? But so I have always felt with those Heartbreakers albums that, which is why I was kind of distraught about him leaving the band, is that his sound was so important to the
Yeah,
Heartbreakers. And I thought that separated the Heartbreakers from every other band, is the way he played drums
yeah,
and the way they recorded the drums on the albums.
yeah.
And they were so big.
Yeah, well, Torpedoes changed the
And
way
so
that people
tasty
might
too,
drum
though.
kits,
Not
right?
just loud, they were
Yeah.
tasty, right?
Well, I mean, Stan gets lumped into that power drummer category, right? Big hitter, big heavy hitter and everything. But Stan had, like, he played side stick. Like, he didn't play match grip. He played traditional grip and he played, like, he played really intricate parts, but he could lay on the volume when he needed it. But very, very tasty drummer. I completely agree.
And I love, Mike Campbell and I love Ben Tench.
Yeah.
And I love both of them. I probably, it's very close between Mike Campbell and Stan Lynch, but I thought it would be more interesting to say Stan Lynch than the obvious choice.
Yeah, of course. Did you read Mike's book yet?
But what's interesting, I think I mentioned to you this on one of the other podcasts that there's a Tom Petty tribute here in Connecticut called the Tom Petty Project.
Yes. Yes.
And I've seen them play, and they had a guitar player who was, I would say he was a national caliber guitar player named
Okay.
Philip Presti, who, if you look at his credits, has played some, heavy duty stuff with people, gigs.
Okay.
I realized, and I had seen, so I never saw Tom after that first time at Giant Stadium, but I did see this local tribute, Petty tribute, probably a half dozen times,
Okay.
including once with both my kids, which was a fun
Oh,
time to
nice.
do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this guy was a tremendous guitar player, and it made me realize, which wasn't as obvious in my head from just listening to the albums, when you see somebody play those parts in a live performance,
Yeah.
there's a lot to do there.
Oh, yeah.
Those Campbell parts, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
And an
the guy's
album, like sometimes with albums too, you're like, oh, it's just like anybody could do that in a studio. He gets 100 tries.
yeah. But that's the same thing with
But
George Harrison, right? Everyone says, "Oh yeah, George Harrison's Beatles part, the licks they're easy." Well, go play them then.
try
If
and
they're
play
so
them.
easy, you go
Yeah.
play them. You know.
And they don't sound that easy on the records, but when you listen to them and you see someone recreating them on a stage, you realize, oh my God, that's
Yeah,
some crazy skill. And you see the fingers moving and going up and down the neck and playing all those parts, and you're like, wow, that's
yeah,
a lot of guitar.
absolutely,
So,
yeah.
I mean, and it is sort of a perfect storm type of thing, like Tom Petty probably wouldn't be Tom Petty without Mike Campbell, right?
I I've argued this plenty myself that I think that Petty had so much talent that it would have come out, and I think he would have been a star at some level. But I don't think you'd have got. I don't know if you'd have got the same level of consistency and the same level of
Yeah.
sort of, or the same ability of him to do what he did if he hadn't had Mike Campbell with him, because Mike could do anything. Anything with strings on,
Yeah.
he can play, and he can play the right
It
thing
wouldn't have been as
in any
much as
song.
fast in any case,
100%.
right?
100%.
Yeah. And Keith and Mick wouldn't have been what they were without each other.
Yeah. They wouldn't have, I mean, they might have
Uh,
been sober, though.
yeah, they might have been sober. Um, what was I going to say? Yeah, so but I love Benmont Tench so
Yeah.
much too. I mean, I just
One, he's the,
love playing.
you talk about not being the best musician in the band, and that's the nice thing for the Heartbreakers, where they were never going to be the best musician in the band because that's Benmont, right?
Yeah,
Benmont's just an
yeah,
absolute brain, like he can play anything at the drop of a hat. He's the guy who's
yeah.
calling out the chord changes when they're touring with Dylan, and Dylan changes the key, and or nobody knows the song. He's the one telling them, "Now we're going to be now," it's all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
I remember reading something about Southern accents when they were recording that. And I don't know who the producer was for the album, but
Well, that was an album where there were different producers, and it was an absolute dog's breakfast because they didn't
is
have
that
a
the one where he
producer.
broke his hand?
That's the one where he broke his hand, yeah. So Dave Stewart's co-producer on some of it. Mike and Tom are producing on some of it. Jimmy Iovine comes in to clean some of it up later, and then you've got Robbie Robertson's a co-producer on one. Like it's all over the map, which is why it doesn't sound as cohesive as maybe it should do. But
I don't know if I'm remembering this story right, but I thought that there was a story about one of the producers anyway saying on the song Southern Accents that Benmont can't play the piano part because it'll sound too good, and he
no, that
wanted it to sound more simple.
that's Wake Up Time from Wildflowers. That's the last song on Wildflowers. That's the song that was Tom had written it on piano and came in and brought it to Rick Rubin, and because they wanted a closer, and he'd written this thing. And he plays the piano part and says, "Okay, well now we'll get this. That's the bed track. Now we'll
Get
get Ben
Ben to
Mont to
do
come do
it.
it." And Ben comes in, and Rick Rubin says, "No, because Ben doesn't play the same way you do, and that piano
He
part sounds
plays it
better
too
that you played."
fancy.
Yeah, it's just a bit too much, right? But Ben Mont was good at that too, because when you listen to Ben in concert, like that guy can shred. Like that can play serious honky tonk, rip roaring up and down the keyboard piano if you need him to. But that's very rarely his role in the Heartbreakers, right? His role is to just put that little bit of color in the gaps between what Mike and Tom are doing, and he's happy sitting back and doing that because that's the thing about them too is every single one of these guys they play for the song. Their ego's not important. They're noodly in front of 50,000 people.
Are
If it
you
doesn't suit
including
the
Stan
song,
Lynch in that comment?
100%. Yeah, no, Stan played exactly
Okay.
what the song needed every time, man. Like he's a musician's musician. There's a reason why he wrote with he wrote with oh for goodness sake, Don Henley for years and years. Because Henley recognized that this guy's
Yeah.
got something to bring.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could go see any Tom Petty concert from history that you weren't at, which one would it be? And so I've already kind of written off that it would be kind of nice to go back and see the one you actually don't remember, right?
It would be in that era because the I would definitely want the Stan Lynch
Yeah,
era. I would definitely want sort of the Damn the Torpedoes, Hard Promises type of set list.
right.
Not that I mean he probably played a lot of those songs forever, but so one that I wrote down was the concert that they did that version of Night Watchman. The band sounded so good. So that was June 1981.
Where was that? Was that at the? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember where that one was. Let me look here.
But
The
that's
Forum.
that's
It's
kind
the
of
Forum
this.
in LA. Yeah, man, that'd be a great venue to go see it too, I think.
I know. So that's sort of that's what I would probably want to go see is that
Yeah.
if I could. But I'd love to see all the eras,
Yeah.
of Tom. My friend, one of my good friends, who moved out to San Francisco, saw that last tour, and if I'm remembering right, he saw Tom at the Greek Theater, which
Okay.
was like an 8,000 seat, fairly small
So perfect, man.
venue.
Yeah, the Fillmore
And
is
he
the one I would.
saw he saw two of the shows on
Ooh,
that run.
nice. Yeah, the Fillmore would be the one, right? Again, because that was that 2,000 maybe
Yeah,
1,500, 2,000. It's a small venue, the Fillmore. Sounds
yeah,
phenomenal. And to get a band like that and go see a band like that would just be primo.
yeah.
Okay, Walls Circus or Walls number three. Do you have a favorite version out of the two?
That's a funny question. Uh, you know, I didn't really. I like the movie.
Okay.
It's a good movie. But and I love Tom, so and I do love the music that he made for that is incredible. I don't have a strong preference, but I would probably say the first one because I like the looseness. It's a little
Yeah.
more rambly, a little more natural, a little more jammy
Yeah.
kind of a style. So I always tend towards that than the more polished. I like the more organic
Yeah.
generally speaking. I really love that's probably why I love live recordings,
Yeah.
so often more than the studio when they're really the energy is so different
Yeah.
with the full band playing. So I do listen to a lot of live recording of songs that I like rather than
Yeah.
studio.
Well, thankfully we've got such a great archive of those, right? You got the live anthology, the Fillmore box set that was released. I don't know if you've listened to much of that, but it's absolutely
I
out this
haven't listened
world.
to that. Yeah.
So I mean, I
Really
think
good.
it's 40% covers as well because I don't know how much you know about that residency, but because it was 20 dates, they could cut loose and say, okay, well, we're not just going to do the hits every night because there's going to be a lot of people who are coming back night after night after night. So we want to give them something
Mix it up.
different. So I mean, and the last gig was, I think, 42 songs. I think they went 3 hours 20 or something, and they pulled out. And so what
Jeez.
they would do is they'd sound check. Does everyone know this song? Yeah, I think so. Roughly, the same thing. So when you've got a band at that level who are so good, yeah, we can do Ain't No
Yeah.
Sunshine. I know the changes are roughly. We'll figure it out on the stage, and they just do it right. And so a lot of those are captured on that
Amazing.
album, and it's just it gets that loose, raw, real, watching a band in a room kind of feel. Which again that's why we all love music, right? You want to go and see someone play it. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's the joy, right? It's a little bit of magic and alchemy when a bunch of guys get up there and all of a sudden this giant thing comes out and you're
yeah,
like, wow, how'd they make that? It's magic. So that's what's fun, right? About
absolutely.
live music.
Okay, let's stay on the
Well, a
covers
lot
theme
of
then.
things are fun.
Let's see-
What else? Do we have more
I
questions?
got three more
What do you
for you.
have?
If you could pick any artist to cover any Tom Petty song, which artist and which song would they cover?
That's another hard one for me because, you know, I just I mostly feel like I want Tom to sing them.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, who's going to do them? You know, and you have these covers that are out there, and we talked about Stevie Nicks and John Mayer and stuff like that, and you know, um, it's fun, I guess, to hear someone else do the song.
Yeah,
And I mentioned my one of my new favorites, Brett Dennen, doing a couple of Tom songs, and I think I couldn't 100% remember, but I think he did You're So Bad and um Don't Back Down, Won't Back Down, I think maybe were the ones that he did.
right.
And they were good. They were good. I couldn't really I don't want to disappoint you, but I
Okay.
couldn't really come up with an artist
No,
that
no,
I
no, that's okay.
really wanted to hear
It's a tough question
do
for sure.
Tom. You know, I think just Tom, I think
Okay,
is
so
really my answer.
let me flip it then a little bit because I'll ask you this then. When you go see a band and if you're gonna go see a band and they're gonna do a cover, do you prefer
Yeah.
it when they stick really faithfully to the original, or do you prefer it when they
No.
take it and do something? You want them to do something with it, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I sort of feel like that with my bandmates too, because some of them they're like, oh, we're doing a cover. I'll learn it like from the record. And
Yeah.
I'm like, nah. I mean, and you've heard the cover of that one song that I sent you the recording of, the
Yeah.
Dylan song. I mean, it couldn't be more different than the Dylan song, right?
Absolutely. And it sounds great. Sounds fantastic.
And and so for me, I always think, what's the point in doing? I mean, there's a point. I mean, people like to hear a song they know, so there is
Yeah.
a point. But for me, I don't have interest in it. For me, and I, yes, 100% like to hear someone do their interpretation of the song and make it their own.
Well, I'll make a
So,
recommendation then because there've been two releases lately from the sort of the Petty Estate where they did a Petty Country album, which was a
mm,
bunch of like, famous and sort of mid-level country artists doing covers. And there was some decent stuff on there, but for the most part, it was way too close. I mean, it was like, okay, they're so close to the
yeah.
original that, they're not, some of them are really not great. But the Bad Monkey soundtrack, I think it's an HBO show, Bad Monkey. I'll
Oh
send
yeah,
you,
and we talked about that on the other podcast, and I did see that, and I told you to read
yes.
the book.
And the sound, yes, that's right. Of course, we were talking about that. That's right. Yeah. Which I've got on order, by the way. It is coming into my
Oh,
local indie.
good.
But listen to the soundtrack for that
Maybe you'll
because
become a Carl Hyacin fan.
I, I don't need another author that I'm going to get into. Come on, dude. I'm already a book nerd
No,
as well as a
well,
music
you
nerd.
don't
But
need it, but you may not have a
yeah,
choice.
yeah, exactly. But check out that soundtrack because some of the covers there are super super interesting. Like taking them in very very unusual directions. And like I said to you, I
Yeah,
think Stephen Marley does "You Don't Know How It Feels" in a reggae arrangement,
yeah,
and it's just like, my God, if you'd heard it that way first, and then you heard Petty cover it, if it was a Petty covered it, you'd think that's such a cool way of interpreting that song because it's got that, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just so good. Okay, two left. What song do you most frequently recommend to people who don't know Tom's music? And this is with the caveat that obviously, if the people who don't know Tom's music, first thing you should do is just get them out of your life. But if you let them stick around, what song would you try and tip someone with?
Such a funny question because I don't know. I feel like the people around me all know
Yeah,
Tom is so ever present that I've
right.
never come across somebody who doesn't know Tom Petty's music, I
Yeah.
guess. That's why I was like, I don't know how I can relate to that song, but I guess if they came from another planet, maybe or something,
Right.
and they
I'll say it's one of
landed.
your kids' friends, maybe even, right? Because then that might be a
Yeah, some of
generation
them, some
removed.
of
So,
them. Like my son, I wanted to tell you this story. So I have a 24-year-old son and a 28-year-old daughter. And my
okay.
son, they were into whatever music they were into growing up and as teenagers and everything. And there's obviously a lot of hip hop and stuff mixed
Yep.
into that rotation. But somehow I was able to penetrate through with Tom Petty,
Oh, cool.
and he started listening, and he had Hard Promises on repeat for like a year, like once a
Superb.
day
Yeah.
for a year. So,
It's a great album, man.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I felt like that was an accomplishment.
Yeah,
It's
Mike.
it's funny because you asked me that question about like growing up, and I didn't have. So when I started playing in college, and my best friends from college were musicians, and so my kids grew up hearing me and my friends jamming in the house from the time they were born,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they didn't really vocalize anything about that as kids.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what impact it had, but then I remember one day when my daughter was probably even in her 20s already, that she was like saying how cool that was, that we were always like, jamming and it was so fun. And
Yeah.
I was like, really? You thought that was cool? All
But I think
right.
that I think what it does is, and I've always been the same with my kids. There's instruments everywhere in my house, right? And they're open season. Like if you want to go play the drums, go play them. Just don't, treat them with a bit of respect, but go play. If you want to play the keyboard, you want to play guitar, go play. But I think it normalizes that, right? And especially if you're
Yeah.
singing and you're sort of getting around, it's like it's okay to perform. It's okay to put your voice out there. It's okay to just mess around and figure things out. That becomes normalized then. And I think
Yeah.
if any of those kids end up and they've got a bit of a musical thread in them, then it'll
Yeah.
come out because it's,
And they
well, yeah,
both
I can do
do. They
that.
both have a strong
Right.
musical thread in them. So
Do they both play?
yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, they both play guitar better than me. I've been trying to get better at six-string guitar, and I've been
Yeah.
working on it for a bunch of years. And I've gotten to the point where I perform with a six-string guitar, and I will sing and accompany myself. But I'm still fairly limited in
Yeah.
terms of my skill on that instrument, and they're both better at guitar than I am. And
Have you got to jam with them then as well? Have you played with them?
yeah, like
Oh, that's
during COVID,
beautiful.
especially, they were both at home, and we would have happy hour jams every night after everybody finished school or work, and we'd just go down in the living room, like while we were getting dinner ready and stuff,
Yeah.
and have drinks and jam out for an hour. So I love doing
That's what
that.
life's
And
all about, man.
I've actually had my daughter play on gigs with me. I've done a lot. My son's good at recording, and
Right.
he knows how to use Logic, and he knows how to use Pro Tools. And so he recorded two of the songs that are on the sound
Okay.
on what's it called?
On
Why
SoundCloud.
I'm blanking on the SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Um, and my daughter, they both play on a couple of those songs, and my daughter sings harmony. There's only one song with a female harmony singer. Well, there's two, but one of them is "Hey Yeah," and that's my
Okay.
daughter singing harmony.
Okay. I'll double check that. Nice.
And I
Okay.
think she sounds great with me. She has like our voices together and everything, and it's so fun. She's playing the guitar on that song, and my son's playing the glockenspiel,
Okay.
and also the electronic. He did all the drum programming and stuff on it, and stuff. So
Oh,
yeah,
man.
we did a bunch of stuff together, and
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
wicked
fun.
cool. I
Yeah,
mean, playing with your
super fun.
kids, playing with your kids is that's
Yeah,
just the dream. Like, because I coach, I talked about this before, but I
yeah,
coach soccer and I've coached soccer for a lot of years. So the first time I
yeah.
got to play with one of my daughters, just like in a co-ed thing, was just like That's it. I can retire now if I want to because
You
that's
can
job
die
done now.
happy. I
Yeah, I
know.
can die
That's
happy now.
fair.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I love doing that. So yeah, we'll jam and they have done some gigs and stuff, and it's fun. So good.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up my last 10 questions, and then we'll sort of tell people where they can find you. Describe Tom Petty in 3 words.
Coolest rocker ever.
Succinct, to the point, and accurate. Very important that it's
Yeah.
accurate. So,
Yeah, of course. I mean, so many other things you could say, but I
yeah,
don't know. I thought that kind of summed it up.